The story begins with a group of soldiers arriving at a remote location. They have been sent to deliver a set of car batteries to another unit stationed there. After unloading the equipment, they begin preparing for a mission, though its details remain unclear to them. Meanwhile, one of the soldiers, known as 81, spends some time joking around with his younger brother, who also serves in the army. The two share a light-hearted moment before talking about their future in the military. Shortly after, 81 goes to check the engine of his vehicle while they continue their conversation. During their talk, the younger brother speaks about his desire to be on a real battlefield.
Talking about Ranger.
And become an Army Ranger, just like they used to dream when they first joined the military. However, 81 admits that he no longer feels the same way and isn't sure he wants to follow that path anymore. After his brother insists, he eventually gives in and agrees that they will pursue that goal together. But before they can do anything else, a sudden disaster strikes. Without warning, a delayed airstrike hits the area, catching the soldiers completely off guard and wiping out most of the unit within seconds. 81 is also hit by the blast and loses consciousness from the impact. When he finally wakes up, the place is silent and filled with destruction. Looking around, he realizes that almost everyone is dead, and among the wounded is his brother, barely clinging to life. The story then shifts to 2 years later, now at a Ranger training facility in Colorado. At the base, a group of candidates suddenly receives an urgent order to quickly report to the induction hall. Once everyone gathers inside, each recruit is handed a small Ziploc bag. They are instructed to place their IDs, documents, rank insignia, and any personal belongings inside it. From that moment on, their identities are stripped away and replaced with assigned numbers. During this process, the candidate we are following is selected as the team leader. Shortly afterward, the instructors explain what lies ahead. The candidates are about to begin an 8-week selection course, widely considered one of the toughest military training programs in existence. Throughout the process, their physical endurance, mental strength, and emotional resilience will be pushed far beyond their limits. The instructors explain that only those who survive the final stage will move on to a brutal 24-hour simulated operation known as the Death March. Completing that mission and reaching the finish line means earning the right to wear the Ranger Scroll and the beret, becoming part of one of the most respected regiments in the United States Army. As the training progresses, the program quickly proves just how intense it is. The candidates are subjected to exhausting exercises and relentless challenges day after day. Among them, 81 stands out, pushing himself harder than most, and refusing to slow down even when the pressure becomes overwhelming. But as the days go by, the strain begins to take its toll. One by one, many candidates fail to keep up and are dropped from the program, leaving only the toughest participants behind. One night, some of the candidates begin talking about 81, quietly commenting on the tragedy involving his younger brother. As they talk, their attention is suddenly drawn to a nearby television broadcast. The news report reveals that scientists have detected a mysterious object heading toward Earth, something they believe may have come from outside the solar system. Despite the strange report, life at the training base continues as normal. The intense program moves forward, and the recruits maintain their demanding routine. During a lunch break, the topic of 81's brother comes up again, and one of the soldiers finally decides to ask him about it directly. Later that night, while 81 is taking medication, one of his roommates notices and becomes curious. The next morning, the two briefly talk about it before quickly returning to their daily training routine. As the selection process continues, the pressure keeps building. More and more candidates are unable to continue and are eliminated from the course, leaving behind only a smaller group of determined participants. During one of the training days, 81 begins experiencing disturbing memories from the past, especially the moment with his injured brother. For a moment, it feels real, but in truth, he is reliving it in a nightmare. Another day of grueling exercises begins, and 81 continues forcing himself to endure the pain and exhaustion. While going through one of the drills, he suddenly remembers the moment he tried to carry his younger brother to safety after the attack. The memory overwhelms him. During the exercise, 81 collapses and loses consciousness in the water. Fortunately, the instructors quickly pull him out before things get worse. However, the incident does not go unnoticed. One of the commanding officers witnesses everything and begins to question whether 81 is mentally fit to continue in the program. In his eyes, he could now pose a risk to the team. Shortly after, 81 is called into a meeting in an office. Inside, Sergeant Torres and another senior officer inform him of their decision. Based on what they have observed, they recommend that he withdraw from the course immediately. According to them, his time in the program is officially over. 81 does not accept the decision easily. When he begins to argue, the officers firmly order him to sit back down. He quickly defends himself, pointing out that he has not failed any training tests so far. The instructors acknowledge that his physical ability is not the problem. In fact, they say his performance is among the best they have seen, and what truly concerns them is his mental state. According to their records, he has not been sleeping properly, and comments from other candidates suggest that he keeps his distance from the rest of the team. They also remind him that after the tragedy involving his brother, he was supposed to attend at least 2 therapy sessions for evaluation. However, records show that on the very morning he was discharged, he immediately requested to enter the RASP selection program. Since then, he has continued submitting applications again and again. When asked why he is so determined, 81 gives a simple answer. He just wants to reach the finish line. The officers respond by telling him that what he is facing now is not the final goal at all, but merely the beginning. They admit that he is one of the most promising candidates they have seen, but warn him that if he is formally removed from the program, he may never get another chance to apply. For that reason, they suggest that he withdraw voluntarily and return when he is truly ready. All he has to do is sign a document confirming that he is leaving by his own decision. But 81 refuses. The next day, the instructors begin calling out a list of numbers. 81 hears his among them, which seems to indicate that he is about to be expelled. However, an unexpected twist occurs. Those whose numbers were called are ordered to step forward, and instead of leaving, they are told that they are the ones who will stay. With this surprise announcement, the remaining candidates realize they have reached the final phase of training to become Army Rangers. Shortly afterward, they are given the details of their final simulated mission. The exercise consists of a reconnaissance and rescue operation. 2 Black Hawk helicopters will insert them into a deployment zone deep within enemy territory. From there, they must move through hostile terrain to locate a crashed aircraft and destroy it to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. Their second objective is to find a nearby rebel village where, according to reports, the pilot of the downed aircraft is being held prisoner. For the simulation, their rifles are equipped with blank adapters, and they are instructed that the use of live ammunition is not allowed. Leading the team on this mission will be none other than 81 himself. With everything ready, the intense final exercise, often called the Death March, officially begins. As the candidates move out to begin the operation, one of the supervising officers watches them closely with a suspicious look, suggesting he might have something more planned. Shortly after, the team finally arrives at the deployment zone. Once on the ground, they quickly regroup and begin planning their movements. With the clock already ticking, they realize they have 23 hours and 30 minutes to complete the mission. The squad moves deeper into the forest, advancing carefully through the dense vegetation. When night finally falls, they find a temporary place to rest. While the others try to recover their strength, 81 and another soldier stay awake to keep watch over the camp. Their brief moment of calm doesn't last long. In the distance, the sudden sound of artillery fire shakes the area, waking everyone and putting the team back on alert. By morning, they manage to reach the location where the crashed aircraft is believed to be. Following protocol, they attempt to contact base to report their progress and request further instructions. Unfortunately, their communication equipment fails to pick up a clear signal. Instead of a response, they only hear strange interference on the radio. With no way to contact command, the team decides to continue the mission based on their last known orders. The soldiers quietly spread out and take positions, waiting for any sign of activity, but the area remains completely still. Just when it seems like nothing is there, 81 notices something unusual in the distance. He signals the others to proceed with the plan to destroy the crashed aircraft while he goes to investigate what he has seen on his own. As he gets closer, he realizes something is very wrong. What he is seeing clearly wasn't part of the exercise. Realizing the danger, 81 quickly tries to stop his team before they destroy the aircraft. But by the time he reacts, it is already too late. The explosion goes off, and moments later, the ground begins to shake. What they believe to be simple wreckage reveals itself to be something far more terrifying. A massive hidden craft awakens, rising above them. Strange lights sweep across the area, as if the structure is scanning everything around it. Within seconds, the situation turns into chaos. A mysterious war machine emerges and begins attacking the soldiers. The team scatters, running through the forest in panic as they try to escape the overwhelming threat. Their desperate retreat eventually leads them to the edge of a steep cliff. As they try to decide their next move, another powerful attack strikes the area. The explosion throws them off balance and sends them over the edge of the cliff. For many of them, the fall proves fatal. After the impact, the few soldiers who can still move immediately begin helping those who are severely injured. As they try to regroup, 81 decides to climb back up the cliff to retrieve the communication radio in hopes of contacting base. Moving carefully, he eventually finds the soldier who was carrying the communications equipment. Unfortunately, the device is already destroyed and completely unusable. Before he can think of another solution, the massive war machine suddenly returns, sweeping through the crash site and eliminating anyone who might still be alive. Realizing the danger, 81 quickly retreats and makes his way back to the others. Meanwhile, one of the soldiers, 57, sadly dies after losing too much blood from his injuries. When 81 rejoins the group, he urgently explains what he saw. He warns them that the machine appears to be tracking them, possibly by scanning their identities or biological signals, and that they need to move immediately. The remaining soldiers begin moving as fast as they can. One of 81's roommates is badly injured, so another soldier helps carry him. But before they can get far, the war machine appears again. In a brutal moment, the soldier helping the injured man is killed, and the machine begins scanning the area for the rest of the squad. The survivors are eventually detected, forcing them to fight desperately to stay alive. After managing to escape temporarily, the exhausted group finds a place to stop for a moment. There, they do everything they can to treat the wounded. Unfortunately, the earlier fall destroyed most of their morphine supplies, meaning they must deal with severe injuries without any real pain relief. Once they finish treating everyone as best as they can, the group continues moving, hoping to find a safer place. Their path eventually leads them to an icy waterfall blocking their route. Determined to keep the team moving, 81 volunteers to cross first, even though the water is dangerously cold. Fighting against the freezing current, he manages to reach the other side and secures a rope so the rest of the team can follow. But time is running out as the war machine continues closing in on their position. As the others begin to cross, the KL soldier they were carrying gets stuck halfway. Without hesitation, 81 goes back to help him, once again risking his own safety. They manage to get the soldier across, but the relief doesn't last long. Moments later, the relentless machine catches up to them again and launches another devastating attack. During the chaos near the waterfall, 81 becomes trapped underwater, tangled in the rope they were using to cross. Realizing he might drown, he quickly frees himself by cutting the rope and deliberately draws the machine's attention toward himself, hoping to give the others a chance to escape. After a tense struggle, the group finally manages to get past the waterfall. Once they regroup, they encounter one of their senior officers, who seems relieved to see that at least some of them survived. Without wasting time, the survivors continue deeper into the forest. Soon after, they arrive at the village that was part of their rescue objective. But instead of finding allies or the captured pilot, they are met with a devastating sight. The entire camp has been destroyed. As they try to make sense of what happened, they suddenly hear a nearby sound. Upon investigating, they find the sergeant, but he is already dying from his injuries. The shocking discovery leaves the team struggling to process the situation. Seeing the danger they are in, 81 urges everyone to leave immediately, but tensions begin to rise within the group, leading to a heated argument. During the confrontation, 81 finally reveals the truth behind his brother's death. He admits that he never felt like a hero because he collapsed just 18 kilometers from the perimeter, unable to complete the rescue. Despite the emotional moment, the team quickly returns to action and prepares their vehicle to escape the area. As soon as the vehicle is ready, they start moving. Suddenly, another attack hits the area. This time it lands farther away, but the explosion is enough to remind them that the threat is still very real. Knowing they could be attacked at any moment, the soldiers waste no time and leave the village. Unfortunately, their escape does not go unnoticed. The war machine detects them, And during the chaos, Soldier 15 is killed while trying to deliver additional ammunition to the others. What follows is a brutal fight for survival as the machine unleashes its full power. Eventually, it disables their vehicle, forcing them off their planned route. A dangerous high-speed chase begins, during which several soldiers are seriously injured. Amid the chaos, Soldier 7 is thrown from the vehicle, and moments later, the vehicle crashes. After a short time, 81 regains consciousness. Looking around, the situation is devastating. Most of his teammates appear to be dead. Determined to understand what happened, he searches the area and finds only a damaged piece of the machine. Then he hears something strange in the distance. Turning toward the sound, he realizes that the war machine is still active and appears to be transmitting a signal into outer space, as if calling for something. To his surprise, Soldier 7 is still alive, barely holding on. At that moment, another scanning pulse sweeps across the area. Knowing they could be detected at any moment, 81 drags the wounded soldier, desperately trying to find a safe place to hide. After moving for a while, they are forced to stop and rest while the machine continues scanning the area. As they observe from a distance, they notice something unusual. The machine periodically releases bursts of heat and steam, as if venting energy. Noticing this pattern, 81 comes up with an idea. Acting quickly, he heads toward a nearby construction site. He decides to lure the machine there before it can detect Soldier 7's location. Once inside the unfinished structure, 81 begins preparing his risky plan. He deliberately makes enough noise to attract the machine's attention, successfully drawing it away from his injured companion. Moments later, the massive machine arrives and begins scanning the construction site in search of its target. What it doesn't realize is that the entire place has been turned into a trap. As it moves forward, the machine unknowingly steps onto construction explosives hidden throughout the site. At that precise moment, 81 suddenly appears, driving a heavy tractor and using it to push the machine into position. A fierce battle between man and machine erupts. 81 continues pressing the attack, forcing the machine into contact with the explosives and causing significant damage. Its system begins to overheat as sparks and flames burst from its structure. Finally, the pressure becomes too great, and the machine explodes in a massive detonation. But even in its final moments, it activates one last defensive mechanism. As 81 approaches the wreckage, the machine releases a final burst of explosives within the flames in an attempt to destroy everything around it. Realizing the danger, 81 turns and runs as fast as he can, but the final explosion still catches him in the blast wave. Despite this, he manages to survive. Refusing to give up, he lifts his injured companion and carries him toward the final checkpoint, determined to reach the finish line no matter what. Shortly after, the sergeant arrives and salutes him, recognizing what he has accomplished. As medics begin treating their injuries, news reports reveal a terrifying update. More of these war machines have been detected, and humanity still has no clear way to stop them. Later, the sergeant approaches 81 and asks him to explain exactly how he managed to destroy one of the machines. After hearing the details, they acknowledge his achievement. With that, 81 is officially recognized as a Ranger. Soon after, he is invited to address a new group of recruits, sharing a few words based on his experience. Once he finishes his speech, the mission doesn't take long to continue. The team quickly prepares to move out again, this time for a real rescue operation. The movie then comes to an end.